And the good news is, in this day of AI, and you've seen all the bots doing incredible things online now that you can't really tell what's real, and it's just going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to crave real much more now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay if you screw up a word or you have an accent or your voice is thin, right? Or whatever. A stutter doesn't really matter. If it's
Mm-hmm.
real, people are going to listen.
We're living in an era where AI can mimic pretty much anything. Royce brings a great perspective on how our realness can actually be our greatest asset. Royce is the founder of Voice of Royce, and yes, a 30-year radio veteran. And he's here to share how we can move past the fear of being judged and actually, air quote, get used to ourselves so that we can lead with our true vocal confidence. It's a practical conversation about why people crave human connection more than perfection and how we can bridge that gap with true authenticity.
This is Leadership Sound Bites. Real leaders, real moments, real growth.
All right, so welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Sound Bites with Michelle and my super special guest, Royce Blake. And you can see in the back, voiceofroyce.com. And it was funny because when I asked you how am I introducing you, you're like, well, it's Voice of Royce is everywhere. So I'm the founder and
For some reason, people remember my voice, Michelle. Isn't that crazy?
I don't know why. I do not know why. But the other thing that you said is you're the lead mouth in Voice of Royce.
Yeah, I
Uh,
basically am.
yeah,
Blowhard, whatever you want to call me. Absolutely. Yes.
I love it. So you were just going to talk about, you had a couple different quotes, and the history and why or whatever. So yeah, it's all you.
Right.
So
Well, my favorite, which I see every day, I have an unnecessarily large sign above my desk, and it helps to remind me anytime, and anybody can steal this. Anytime you start to feel imposter syndrome,
hmm.
you're afraid to do something. It says is, "Hey!" exclamation point. You've screwed up way bigger things than this! Exclamation point. So it reminds me of like, hey, that's right. Remember that project 3 years ago, whatever. All of a sudden, it's like, hey, don't worry about sending this post or this proposal or getting on a call with someone because, hey, you screwed up way bigger things than this. So that's kind of a daily reminder for myself just to put stuff up.
How long has that been up there?
Oh, what time is it? About 7 years.
Okay. Okay. It's funny because you take me back to one of mine is face your fears and do it anyway. And
Right.
the thing that gets in the way with me a lot of times is that fear of, and it's a lot of times just rejection, not being accepted, not being enough, whatever that may be. And that stops me from doing reach outs.
Right.
So, to where, well, what if someone says no? Well, what if they say yes?
Exactly. See, I was just so people know, I was on the radio for a long time. And one of the things that really helped me with is getting over the fear of trolls. Because if you're old enough to remember the radio station request line, where you could actually call into a radio station, well, I was the guy answering those. And I would say out of all the calls, probably maybe 10% ever asked for a song. They were always, sitting on hold for a half an hour to just yell into the phone, "You suck." So, I
Really?
mean, after a while, you get a few thousand of those. Uh, Pretty soon, trolls and hung up phone calls, they don't bother me anymore. It's
Well,
like,
I see. It almost feels like you got the thing in the phone call that people get with comments now. Like if you post a
absolutely.
video or you make a comment or whatever it is, you've got people that are there to support or it resonated with them, and other people that just want to tear you down or tear it
Right.
down or make a negative comment. Okay.
I have a couple of thoughts on that. Number one, if you notice, no one more successful than you will ever put you down. If you think about that for a
Hmm.
second. But what always worked on the request line and drove them mad is you'd say, "Hey, thanks for listening." And they would get even madder. Same thing works online. You just use the phrase, "Hey, Dolores, thanks for increasing my reach." And it's the same thing. It drives them crazy.
Yeah, or just like, thanks for the feedback. Yeah, but I
Yeah,
do
well,
like
it
yours
depends on
better.
obviously, but
I like yours
it
better.
depends on the level of vitriol you're dealing with.
Yeah. So when we talk about, because I'm looking over here at the bio that's sent on your career and the variety of stuff you've done, and like you shared, you've been in radio for a long time. When you look back on stuff, Royce, or maybe you look forward, what is one of the standouts for you? You're like, you know what, I didn't actually plan on that thing, but this was a really cool thing that happened.
Oh man, sticking with radio, I've never been personally fired, but I've moved, I believe, 17 times, something like
Oh,
that. Because if
geez.
you're in the
Over what
market,
period of time? Over 30 years?
oh, at least, yes. I
Oh,
don't want
wow.
to say the exact number, Michelle, but
Yeah.
yes, it's
Yeah.
a 30 plus years. Let's go with that. But yeah, because it's always been, guess what, guys, we're going country. See you later. And they'd fire the entire staff, or a station sale, for instance.
Yeah.
So you have two choices. You can sit in the market where you are and wait for someone else to, lose their job, or you can move. And so I moved a lot. But, I mean, I met, obviously, did incredible cities. I
Hmm.
did mornings for 5 years in San Diego. I got to taste the best barbecue in the world in Kansas City. I got to buy fresh salmon for 89 cents a pound in Portland, Oregon.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
so I mean, just there's obviously great things in every city, but if there's one skill you want to be good at, I would not choose moving, but I've become very adept at that, but it wasn't my plan, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm good at packing a U-Haul truck or then putting stuff in a storage area to where, because people forget
Absolutely.
there's height in the storage area. You don't have to live in it. So, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And yes, I know I belong to the U-Haul Million Milers Club now. No, I'm just making that up. That
You can
doesn't
get free
exist. But
U-Hauls as
yes,
you do. I'd
believe me, I
rather
know
belong to
way
the
too
flying
much
one,
about
the million
moving.
miles for flying. Um,
It's crazy.
what excites you now?
I love, and I always have, I should back up a little,
Yeah.
because when I did mostly morning shows, which is kind of like prime time for radio.
Hmm.
And by the way, the hard part isn't getting up at 3:30 a.m. It's being funny at 5. That's the hard part. But I realized after a quick nap, here it is noon, I have a whole day left. And that was before I had kids and, all the extra responsibilities. And that's how I got into marketing. I remember the book. It was by Jeff Paul. I have no idea if it's still in print, but it was
Oh, I
called
haven't
How
heard
to
of them.
Make Money in Your Underwear.
Are you
And I
serious?
thought, yes. So I'm like,
Okay, I'm
hey,
going to
this
make
sounds
a
like
note
it.
of that. I've
I
never heard
don't know
of
if
it.
it's still around. It was more like a pamphlet. I mean, it was probably, I don't know, 25, 50 pages long, but it
Okay.
was all about the world of copywriting. And that's how I got into that. And I've been doing that for 25 years now or so. And I've worked with amazing industries, still work with a lot of, I don't know why, but I've hooked up with several jewelers
Hmm.
who are actually, one is very funny, one is very staid, very proper. So I
Okay.
don't know why they keep me around, because they know I'm a goofball, but it seems to work for them.
Yeah.
But I've written for commercial dumpster companies. I've worked for a league trying to bring back roller derby to Canada. So I mean,
Oh
it's
my God, I
it's
used to
just
love the roller derby. I'd watch it on
absolutely,
TV, the crashing and the whole bit. That's funny. I have not thought of that in
yeah.
like decades.
So I just love helping, especially small businesses. Nothing. I've had clients cry on the phone for saving their business,
Oh, that's awesome.
and that lasts for years. I still think about it, and it's like, oh yeah, that was okay. That was
So,
cool.
You've lived through a lot of different things, right? And when I think about the the rapid pace of change that we've gone through. I mean, I look back on my life and we were the first people on our block to get a color TV. Okay.
Hey,
We
I
had
remember.
we had one TV in the house. I'm sure you do, right? But when I think back to that, the changes in technology that we had, and then the rapid fire changes we're going through, um, it's easily within the last 2 years, and I know what's going to be ahead. I mean, as far as just the pace of change is even more. And I'm talking mainly about AI technology that's out there. Um, how do you keep pace, Royce? I mean, how do you do? Because for me, I think the question or the thing a lot of people are trying to answer is how do I, as a leader, or how do I, as an employee of an organization, or how do I, as someone who's self-employed doing X, how do I stay relevant?
It's a great question because we're in it, so we probably don't realize it, but we're in the middle of a huge era right now.
Mhm.
This is just like gasoline cars coming along. This is a brand new world we're living in. And what I like to concentrate on is, for a practical standpoint, social media, as we know it, is now becoming interest media because the bots have gotten so good.
Mhm.
To give you a copywriting example, it used to be just you could never put free or sale in an email subject line, for instance, because it would immediately go to spam.
Oh.
Not anymore, because all of your emails, all of your YouTube videos are read or seen by the bots before they decide where to put it.
Hmm.
So it's in that millisecond, it's deciding, oh, wait, well, people that like, roller derby will love this one. Or
Hmm.
people that are looking for lawnmowers will love this one. And that's how it's all sorted out. And the awesome part is, where it used to be you had to have 50,000 followers, right, to get any traction for YouTube or Facebook or whatever. That's all switched. Somebody with 50 followers, if their video starts going viral
Hmm.
or post or whatever, it'll show it to more people because they
Hmm.
want people to stay on the platform longer. So interest media is what's happening today, and that's why I think it's so important to really dial down on your ideal customer, right? That whoever you're looking for is so important these days.
Um, so you've hit an area for me that it's been so painful to identify because so I do process improvement, executive coaching, leadership development, change management, all the stuff. And early on, it was like, so Michelle, who's your customer? Who's your persona, right? Who's your avatar? Everyone, everyone. I
Right,
can help everyone. Well, to your point, Royce, not everyone is gonna ingest, digest, consume from the same platforms. They're just not,
right,
right?
right,
And so there is value in doing that. For me, it was like, okay, where I can pretty much help everyone, which I'm sure you can and other people can, where's the sweet spot is what I started thinking about it, right? Where's the thing for me was where can I have the biggest impact?
right.
And for me, it is people leaders and people leaders that are typically director, executive director, and above. That doesn't mean I can't help other people. But it means that that's the area that I can relate to them. I can help them, whether you're CEO, senior VP, whatever that is. Because when we make the shift, right, and unlock a leader at that level, then the roots and the legs and the trickle down effect is extremely powerful. So, but for me, it was, I mean, and I'm freaking 5 years into this self-employment journey of doing this, not associated with, a W-2 wage. What advice do you have for people? Because I don't want everyone to have to go through 5 years of I don't
Right.
know who my people are, identity thing. Is there an easier path than the one I took?
Yes and no. I mean, it really comes down to research, but research is such a broad,
Yeah,
nebulous field, right? Let me tell you what I'm living through right now, because
yeah.
I started a few years ago. A couple of A-list copywriters started kicking me in the butt and saying, "Hey, why aren't you doing more stuff about radio? Because that's what you knew, and you did it forever." And I always tried that, right? As a copywriter, I was going like, "Hey, I had to be live, no do-overs, and be creative every day, 5 days a week. Imagine what I could do with your ad if I had 2 weeks." But it just never really landed.
Mm-mm.
Then I got the idea, thanks to a lot of other people, to start helping podcasters,
Hmm.
because podcasters, right? All you see for podcasters as far as ad wise is either tech, right? Or how to get like the best thumbnails on your YouTube videos or things like that. But
Yeah.
no one was talking about interviewing skills. And I've interviewed over 200 mainly celebrities, at least on the air live. And I knew things like how to get a guest to shut up, how to get a guest to open up, things like that. And so I started building this course, and it well, it still is evolving into more vocal confidence.
Hmm.
So how to get rid of filler words like and and now the next module is stage fright, how to get over
Guilty as
stage fright.
charged. Guilty as charged.
So I
I don't
put
have
this
stage
out to
fright.
a couple of people, and all of a sudden I've had 5 business leaders contact me
Oh, awesome.
because they're scared too. Some get nervous holding just a sales meeting with 15 people. And then they have to go do the quarterly report in front of the whole company when there's thousands, and they're petrified. So now I'm sitting there going through, oh, wait a second. Maybe this podcasting thing is all wrong. Maybe it should be business leaders. So, you have to be able to iterate, always iterate and test. Once again, hey, I've screwed up way bigger things than this. So, why not try that out? So it's really, especially in today's, media world,
Yeah.
uh, you've got to try it, and never assume you know the answer. Ask people, would this be good for you, or do you know anyone this could work for?
And
And
that
you may
takes
be
courage.
surprised.
And that takes courage to do that.
Absolutely.
Because it is reaching out. So are you asking people, are these in your social circle, or are you reaching out to people you don't know?
Both clients, and I'm on Substack, I'm on LinkedIn, obviously,
Okay.
Facebook. You can get little snippets here and there
Yeah.
about what is working, but you never know until and there's a big difference between someone saying, "Yeah, that sounds awesome," versus them ripping out their wallet or pocketbook and
Yeah.
actually putting the money down for it. So
Yeah, I was listening to it was Russell Brunson
right.
um teaching on funnels and stuff, and he was talking about one of the early ones that he did. He was in the room with people selling something, and he asked him about the next thing in the funnel, right? Because he really hadn't had it built out. And he's like, "What else would you guys want?" Right? Similar kind of thing. And right there, real time on this flip chart, he's just writing what they would want. And he's like, "Well, how much would you pay for this?" And then they told him, and stuff like that. And that's the offer. So
Right.
it can be as simple as that or as complicated as we want to make it. But I think a lot of times, and what you said in the beginning was the whole idea of imposter syndrome, is we kind of get in our own way. And we can step into something, and before we even take an initial step, we've already, and I'm speaking to myself and other people I've heard, we've already convinced ourselves as to why it's not going to work.
Right. Or that it will work. I don't know how many people I've met that have spent years literally building a course that looked fantastic, but no one wanted it, much better
Oh,
to
I see
start
what you're
off with
saying.
a simple guide or a lesson or a live video, right? Some kind of event, and
Yeah,
find out if anybody's interested before you build the course or whatever, your final iteration is going to
yeah.
be. And that's why waiting lists, I'm sure you've seen tons of waiting lists.
Hmm.
That's what people are doing. If you get an email, hey, would you like to jump on the waiting list for ABC? They're testing the market to see if there's an interest for it, which is smart because and some will take money at that point.
Yeah,
Look, save your spot for $20. And then they do lesson one and then start building lesson two,
yeah,
so
yeah. Or there's an idea or a concept. It's like there was one course that I did that it was just the description. It's like, okay,
right.
we got feedback on what problems people are having, all this stuff. The fact that people are short on time, right? And then it's like, okay, so let's build the decision. I mean, the description, we'll do all this stuff out. We did pricing and people are signing up, for this course. And so then it was build the course.
Right.
But it's one of
Which
those
is
things, if you've got the skill set and you've got the confidence in your ability to do it, I think that's a great recommendation is test the waters. But
absolutely.
before you go and drop anchor and do everything else, make sure there's fish, right? Where you're and
No
they're
kidding.
hungry and
Really?
they're hungry. So yeah, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. What else? What else? What other advice? Because when I hear about stuff like this because leaders, you can be an entrepreneur, right? You can be self-employed, you can be in partnership with somebody else, you can be working for someone else. Like you said, you've got leaders that are part of corporate America or corporate, I'm not going to assume America, that as humans, we show up and we have these innate fears of stuff. Someone anecdotally, and I don't know if it's real because I've heard it wasn't, is that public speaking, that people have a bigger fear of that than death. I do not know if that's true.
Absolutely.
But I know me personally, if I had not done what I did, shoot, how many years ago now? 30? Maybe 25, 30 in between that window. If I hadn't stepped in and faced my fears and did it anyway, of public speaker for the undergraduate class, throw my hat in the ring, went through all the stuff to do that, and stood up petrified in front of 1,000 people and gave this 7 to 10 minute speech, I couldn't be doing what I do today.
And
And
guess what? You didn't die, Michelle.
no,
Isn't
I
that
did not.
crazy?
I did not. It was an out of body experience. Okay.
Absolutely.
It's scary for me. It was like seven to
Right.
10 minutes of like it felt longer as I'm sure people are
Absolutely.
aware.
Yes, it's an out of
Um,
body experience.
yeah.
And that's what I teach. And as a matter of fact, on my website, voiceofroyce.com, I've got a bunch of free guides and exercises that'll walk you through. But number one, it's all based around basically the same thing, and it's called getting used to you.
Okay.
And that involves recording yourself all
Mm,
privately. No one else has to see it. But if you record yourself, and I'm talking, I don't say daily because it's very important to record yourself, and it really doesn't matter. Start off with your sales pitch, right? Or
yeah.
whatever you're used to that may tie into your work, for instance. Or if you're worried about a meeting, start going over that in your brain and do it to your phone. The secret is don't watch it back right away.
Hmm.
Give it a full day if you can, at least a night's sleep. Because I trust me, you'll look much thinner, you'll look much happier, whatever the next day. So wait that, and then you'll start to see your own patterns because we hear our voices. You remember the first time you heard yourself
Oh my
recorded?
God. It was awful.
Yeah,
It was awful.
because we hear our voice through bone. And people and microphones hear our voice through air.
Hmm.
So it's a totally different medium. And that's why it sounds different. And we're used to looking in the mirror. We don't see ourselves in the same way other people do, but
Mm-hmm.
your phone does. And once you start getting used to that, you'll start to pick up patterns. Wow, do I really sound like that? Or gosh, do I end every sentence on a down note? Or do I end every sentence like a question? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, things like that, and little things like that will pick you up. But you know, your voice is more powerful than anything else, than a business card, than big letters after your name or whatever. People develop a trust in you in a matter of seconds. And the good news is, in this day of AI, and you've seen all the bots doing incredible things online now that you can't really tell what's real, and it's just going to get better.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to crave real much more now,
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay if you screw up a word, or you have an accent, or your voice is thin, right, or whatever. A stutter doesn't really matter. If
Mm-hmm.
it's real, people are going to listen.
I think that's so powerful what you said because it's real when I come back to it. It's about genuine, authentic, all the stuff. And Royce, that is so powerful and just leadership, human connections, all that stuff, which to your point, AI can't do at that level. But the other thing too is when you play back, you're getting a different perspective on you, to your point, right? It's like we hear it through bone, or we also hear it and experience it from inside. When you do play back, and you're absolutely right to wait a day to be able to do that. And some other stuff I've heard is just listen to yourself first, and if you record your
Right
video.
that's the huge tips.
Yeah,
Are number one, when you play it back, put the phone down. Don't
yeah,
look at it.
yeah,
Just listen to yourself.
yeah,
Number two is just watch yourself with the sound off.
bingo.
And you'll start to see you're always waving your left hand, or you're always doing this, you're always touching your eye, whatever it is. And then you can watch it back with sound and video. And all of that is in my guide. But I mean,
Yeah.
that's yes. And you start to see things, and
Mhm.
you start correct it before it ever leaves your lips. After a while, you're like,
Well, and I think the other thing too is you can check the BS that you're telling yourself too, because
right,
I've had clients in the room that aren't that English is a second language,
right,
and what they tell themselves is, you know, um, people don't understand me that well because English isn't my native language, and I'm like, I understand you just fine. But what
right,
happens is they're experiencing it through the narrative that they have and all the filters that they've got up. So, to your point is, if you can listen to it a different way, you're going to experience it like other people do and not through this negative bias that you have going on that it's
right,
like, I suck at this. No, you're actually really
right,
good because if it was up to you and I communicating in your language, we'd be staring at each other.
right, exactly, exactly. And I see so many people apologize before they speak,
Yes.
which is, why? Why are you doing this? Look, I know you're probably not thinking about this when you have a great idea. Or, if you don't mind me asking, you know, so there's so many levels of vocal confidence. But number one is getting used to you. And then once you used to you, you get to play with your voice because it's an instrument.
Mhm.
That's all it is. You wouldn't pick up a guitar and immediately expect to play.
Mhm.
Well, you would,
Well,
but
I would.
poorly.
I would. Why can't I?
So, I mean, you start to learn things like the pause. The pause is the most powerful part of speech, in my opinion. You pause before you start. If you're scared to death, wait 2 or 3 seconds. We hate vacuums as human beings. We have to fill the silence with no matter what. And that's where the filler words come in. Okay, you know what I mean? Or get that? because your brain's trying to catch up. If you just pause, it does two things. Number one, it'll let your brain keep track and catch up. Number two, it makes what you say next much more powerful. And the easiest way to do that, if you, well, obviously, easiest way is just shut your mouth, right? If you have a problem with that, I have a couple of tricks. If you count to A, B, C in your brain, not
You
out loud,
count to ABC?
just in your brain, just go A, B, C.
Okay.
That's only about 3/4 of a second. You can pause up to 4 seconds
Hmm.
without it being unnatural. See, that didn't feel that weird, right? And that was only about 2 seconds. The
Mhm.
other trick, if you want to close your mouth and not look too weird, is put your tongue at the roof of your mouth.
Okay.
See, and then I can't talk. So, you know,
Uh,
those are some tricks for you.
you brought me back to my mentor early on. It's when people give speeches in front of others, and they'll be up there and they're going, "So, what do you think of whatever?" or "What thoughts do you have on this?" And people don't answer immediately, and they just go right on. And she said, and which I do, count to 10. When you ask a question, count to 10. Similar but different, because what it does is allows people the time to process what
Right.
you're asking. And typically in seconds 7 through 10 is when the brain, to your point, had enough time to catch up and formulate a thought. And I think part of it is this world of ours is going so fast that we're like tripping over ourselves to like keep up on what's going on. And there is value in just the silence.
Oh, absolutely. And once again, we're so afraid of that. And asking, like, because I've done a lot of public speaking. One of the easiest things to do is ask an easy question first, right? It's like pineapple on pizza. I mean, whatever,
I'll raise my hand. I'll raise my hand.
whatever. Something simple, and it gets them involved and loosens up. So, because no one wants to be first. So, I mean, that's an easy way to get into the crowd. And, you know, I was a member of the National Speakers Association. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but really,
Toastmasters, I'm familiar with, but yeah.
they're like, that's like after dinner speakers, very hotty toddy.
Okay.
And I'm no longer a member because it just got too weird. Anyway, I had to, for a while, I'm trying to edit this here, coordinator for a college. And I
Okay.
had to go to high schools and talk to high school seniors.
Hmm.
So if you want some speaker training, go talk to high school seniors first period on a Monday morning. And man, will that teach you about public speaking because,
No.
people are sleeping, they're swearing at you, they're throwing things at you. They didn't know I was a disc jockey. They just thought I was just a substitute teacher, right? So I gave it right back at them. They were not ready for that. But yeah, so I love public speaking, but yeah, it's a
That's
whole nother
funny.
animal.
I'm gonna take you to the pendulum swing the other way, is not high school kids, but leaders in a leadership development program. That my slot was Fridays at, I think it was like 3:30 to 4:30 or something on a
Gosh.
Friday. Yeah. Yeah. So you do a lot of tips and tricks to keep people engaged, and part of it is if I'm looking out and you can see people starting to dose because they've had lunch, say whatever. I'm not going to own that. Oh my gosh, I'm boring. I'm loud, but it was like I would see the energy lagging. I'm like, okay, everybody up. So we would go up, and I don't care. You can do the hokey pokey, you can do whatever you can, but you have to get the
Right.
energy going again. But yeah, so that was the opposite end of, I think I'd rather have my slot than your slot on a Monday morning
Anyone
with high
would.
school kids. Yeah, no, there's no way. There's no way. But I think the point is know your audience. right? Know
Absolutely.
how that you're going to engage them because they're all different. And I think part of the thing too, because I'll take us back to fear-based stuff, is I've found personally that when I go in to speak or do development or whatever it is, I remind myself it's not about me. It's
Right.
about the people in the room. And I'm not kidding you, Royce. As soon as that happened, any shred of nerves that I had went away because
Absolutely.
it wasn't about me and whether they like me or judge me or whatever. It was about me creating the experience that was going to work the best for them.
Absolutely. I mean, I do it before. I did it before our podcast today. I take some deep breaths, and first thing that goes through my head is, how can I serve?
Hmm.
How can I help? And once you come from a place of service, then yeah, who cares? If I screw up, they hate me. Oh, well, I'm used to that. I don't, I have a great line for one of my all time favorite broadcasters because he was very controversial on certain subjects. And I asked him, I said, how do you put up with this, mayhem all the time? And he said, Royce, I don't care if they hate me as long as they hate me every day. And I'm like, I'm stealing that right there. So, yes,
As long as I keep showing up, it's good.
absolutely.
I appreciate the time in the room with you, sir. And as we wrap up, are there what one or two things, just on all the different things we talked about, would you like people to walk
Well,
away?
you kind of mentioned this, and the first thing, like especially copywriting or doing advertising or helping a business, number one question I always have is, who is this for?
Mm.
Because that will guide my entire process. So, who is this for? Who am I trying to reach here? Because yes, I know our product is for everybody, but you can't reach out to everybody. It's got to be this person at this level, or it might be the divorced mom living in the Midwest, whatever, but figure out who it's for. And by the way, one of my other favorite quotes is from David Ogilvy. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but his quote is, the consumer isn't a moron, she's your wife. And that kind of guides me too. So never talk down to your audience.
Um, the thing that came to mind for me is you're talking specifically around copywriting and promoting and marketing and that stuff. And in my head, it's like this is everyone. So if you're a leader in an organization, you're sending out a communication, you're managing change management, whatever it is, right? I'm going to be doing a virtual change management workshop, a 2.5 hour one, and it's like ask yourself who's the audience because you're going to write differently and you're going to address different things if you're sending it out to senior leaders, right, who have the ability. They don't have the attention span of a gnat, but they have this, the scope is so broad that they have a
Right,
fraction of a second to pay attention and decide whether or not this is the thing they want to pay attention to
right,
versus, the frontline workers who are dealing with, your customer all the time. And so it's important that you don't just craft this one message that goes from the top of the house and cascades all the way down because you're going to miss connecting with the people on what they want to hear and what matters most to them.
right. And I do a lot of, as I'm also a marketing coach. And one of the biggest things I'd love to pound into every business owner is the why. If you explain the why to your employees, your life's going to get a lot busier, easier, and your business is going to get a lot more profitable fast because the last thing they want is a memo. They want to understand why you're doing something and what it's going to mean to them. And all of a sudden they get behind the decision. So I love the why.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Because otherwise it can just become more noise in a world that has a lot of noise. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I I was going to say I'll put contact information for Royce. I'll do your LinkedIn but you have it in the screen, so I'll put it in the description too. If you want to get a hold. So clearly tons of resources. If you want to up your game, there's my by the way. You want to up your game in presentation, marketing. I think we're marketing us too before we do anything else. Then you're an awesome
Absolutely.
resourcer. So thank you. Until next
It's
time.
been a pleasure, Michelle. I love talking to you. Can we go another hour?
Sure, sure. Well, this will be a mini
Okay,
War and
let's
Peace
go.
novel. Mini War and Peace
Let's
novel.
talk about the length of the Nile, shall we?
I'd be a short conversation because I have no idea how to contribute to that.
Me either.
Yeah, okay, good. Until next time, this is Michelle and Royce. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and look forward to next time. Thank you. Bye.